Yo, what's going on, TAP? That's right, this your boy Play B coming at you once again with my man Rev over here. We got Heather Leigh in the building, Exploration Paranormal. This is like deja vu all over again.
It's like we just did this like 7 minutes ago. Heather, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
yeah, it worked.
Nice. So for the reason why we're so excited is yes, because we have Heather on again, but it's because we had some technical difficulties the first go around. So now we're here to do it again because we want to make sure that everything is done right. Because the last time that we had Heather on, I was the one that screwed up and we didn't have any video, but it was still an interesting. It
was awesome.
It was still an interesting conversation.
You know, that's one of my favorite podcasts. I go back and listen to it over and over. Yeah.
Yeah. So please go back and check that episode out. It was a really awesome. It was more of an introduction because we didn't know. We got connected to Heather by Randy, who was one of our guests and was talking about his paranormal experience. And then we reached out to Heather, and Heather thankfully came on and said, "I don't know who you guys are, but I'm going to talk to you guys."
Thanks for doing us that favor.
Yes. So Heather, first off, how are you doing? How have things been since the last time we've talked?
Good. Been very busy, but very good.
Yeah, nice. I've heard you've been busy. I've been following your social media stuff, and there is from what I'm saying, a documentary, a film that's going to be coming out that you and your team have been doing there at the Paranormal Group, and is also with the production company. So can you talk to us a little bit about how that process is going and where you guys are at in that?
Okay, yeah. The documentary is called Real Haunts Ghost Towns. And it's with Motion Picture Video, which is a small production company out here in the Las Vegas area. And they reached out to us, and we started filming in September. We went to several ghost towns throughout southern Nevada, including Goldfield, Nelson, the El Dorado Canyon Mines, Gold Point. And then they also went to a couple other locations without us just to get the history of all these ghost towns. And we went back and did investigated inside an old abandoned mine late November, early December, and they just contacted us a couple weeks ago and said that everything is packaged and off to the distributor, and now we're just waiting to get word that it's officially released.
Oh, interesting. So nice. Is there supposed to be a preview or a trailer that's going to be dropping soon?
They're supposed to be. They said I was told as soon as the trailer is released, so I've been like stalking their Facebook page for the trailer.
Right.
That as soon as that's released, that we could expect the movie to be available through their different channels
nice.
within a couple weeks after that.
Oh, we are excited, and we're waiting on pins and needles for that to come out, because that's going to be just a topic of a show just in itself. Just to go over that. And
would you mind if we shared the trailer on one of our episodes? Would that be okay with you? Or is that cool?
Yeah, as soon as I get it, I'll forward it to you.
Yeah,
oh, yes.
Nice.
We got the inside scoop. No, that's great. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
And so I don't want you to go into too much details. I don't want you to spoil anything for us primarily. I'm going to be selfish, but is there anything did you go into this documentary like with an investigative mind, or are you just trying to highlight certain things that are out there that you've experienced?
It was mostly, the way the documentary started is they wanted to focus on the history of these ghost towns and why they became ghost towns, and then how that history can fuel paranormal activity. So even though we were a ghost hunting team that went in with them, that wasn't the primary focus of this documentary.
Okay. And is there anything that surprised you while doing it? Because you go in there, you probably, I've been here before. I'm assuming you've been to all these places before.
Right.
And I was just curious, like I said, without going into too much details, but was there anything that surprised you? Like, I don't remember that happening, or was it all paranormal? Oh yeah, we're just showing people what this is all about.
Right. What really surprised me was, and I don't want to reveal too much because I'm not 100% sure if it's in the documentary or not, okay. But I did capture a really interesting photo.
Oh,
that
nice.
I had never captured anything like that before. So as soon as the documentary comes out, I can share that photo. And because I send it all to the production company, and I don't know if it's in there or not, but once it's released, I can share the photo with you guys.
Great.
Cool.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Oh, wow. We're just getting all the inside stuff.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. Okay. And was it just your group that was involved with this, or were there other groups and other people that were involved in this whole documentary?
Right. We were the only paranormal team involved, as far as I know, because they were featuring us as a family of paranormal investigators, because my team is just myself, my husband, and my son.
Oh, that's cool.
So they focused on just the three of us in that aspect, but they did film at 2 local museums here in Las Vegas, at the Natural History, or not Natural History Museum, the Clark County Museum, and then McCaw School of Mines.
Oh.
So they featured both of those in the documentary, as well as they went out to Nelson and interviewed the couple that runs that town.
And wait, a couple that runs a town, like, is it
right? They're pretty much in charge of the historic buildings. It's just the small town.
Oh, okay. So like,
I want my own town. Like, how do I go back and you find that on eBay?
Yes. From what I understand, they run the tours out of the town that go into the mine and take you through the historic buildings.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And there's all these things that many times as I've been to Vegas, like that. I'm gonna start putting all these different things on my to-do list while I'm out there, and especially
well, you don't associate Vegas with paranormal. You know?
No, and that.
I mean, at least I don't.
Well, and the interesting thing is, though, we talked to Heather last time, and she was, I was curious because I've been to Vegas like I can't even count how many times in the last few years because I got family out there.
Yeah.
But she was telling about the Strip. The Strip is there's areas in the Strip that are highly active with paranormal activity, and I never thought that. But then somebody else, I forgot who it was, told me the same thing about the Titanic Museum, and I was just like, I've never been. Now I really want to
we gotta go.
and,
we should plan for that.
Yeah,
I mean.
And what other places? I don't know if you touched on it in the documentary, but in Vegas, like what other hot spots or hotbed is there that are really big for the paranormal people that wanted to experience?
See, and that's the toughest part about Las Vegas. There are so many locations that know they're haunted, but don't want that information public knowledge.
Oh yeah, we talked about
that. And
there's
a lot of locations that don't allow paranormal investigators even in. I mean, just off the top of my head, places that I know are publicly announced as being haunted. The one place I just mentioned, McCaw School of Mines.
Yeah.
We actually were the first team to investigate that location and stumbled upon it. It was more of like a fun Halloween activity we presented. And I was like, let's just show the kids what we do, because this is a museum that focuses on kids tours. And they said, sure, come on in, show the kids what you do. And during showing them how to use our equipment, we actually started getting activity.
Oh, dang.
And then, so we've been investigating that place a lot, and we're actually having a preview for the documentary at that location in April.
Oh, really? So that's where your premiere is going to be, at an actual haunted location.
Oh, man.
Right. So we're going to have it there.
Surprise!
Then, of course, you have, Bugsy Siegel.
Yeah.
He's all over, he's at his plaque. People have claimed to see him there. At his room in the Flamingo, that used to be his room, people have claimed to see him there. But all the hotels, they just don't want it known. So it's kind of just walking around and seeing how you feel, seeing if you get any interaction.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people claim a lot of activity at the Titanic Museum, but there's really no tours or anything that take you into locations for that.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Okay.
That's crazy.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I remember, I can't remember what show it was, but I brought up that one time, we probably bump into ghosts without realizing it, on the street. That's, because there's been times where I see somebody and I'm like, little person's a little out of place, and I always wonder to myself, I wonder if that was a ghost, or there's been one instance where I see somebody and I kind of look away, I look back and they're gone, but they could have just ducked in a store or something, but still in my head, I'm like, oh, paranormal. To me, everything's fair. I love it. I can't get enough of it.
It's like I said, I have an experience. I had that. Wait a minute. I forgot the incident with my security camera.
Oh, yeah.
That
was interesting. You should send that over to Heather. She could see that.
I'm going to send that over to you
that was pretty cool.
Today, so the next time we talk about it, or next time we meet or you're on the show, we can talk about it. But I had an incident. We were talking about it today. I've never had an incident, but there was this weird thing that popped up on my security camera that I couldn't explain. It only popped up one day, and then it never
like an
showed
orb.
again. Yeah, it was this weird orb-looking thing. And like I said, it's not definitive. I tried every avenue to figure out what it was. Maybe it was...
what made it interesting though is the motion sensor picked it up.
The motion sensor. That's how I came across it, because the motion sensor picked
alert,
it up.
Everything.
And then I went outside to go look, and there was nothing there. So I'm just like, and it's on the camera. But anyways, besides the point.
Well, my camera at home in the living room, sometimes I hear people talking, but I'm like, maybe it's just because it's close to one of my windows, So I'm like, maybe it's people outside, but it's real faint. If you listen real closely, it's trippy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I used to work nights, and sometimes I'll check on my wife, and I'll turn on the camera, and I'm like, what in the hell's in the house?
Yeah, so interesting. So what besides the documentary and everything, all the effort and time that's been put into that, what other things have you been doing, or try to do to promote your group or to take people out on tours in midst of the COVID situation?
Right. It's really tough right now with COVID, but we are trying to plan several fundraising events for that museum that I had talked about. I'm in the process of partnering with other local groups because we're so small. The locations that do allow groups in want you to have 10 or more people to come in, so that way it's worth their time and money to get you
right.
guys, to get in. And then I'm working with the local library out here in Henderson, Nevada, and the last Friday of every month, we're going to be doing a virtual ghost town talk where I go live and I just talk about the different ghost towns throughout Southern Nevada.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. That's great. And I'm glad that at least some things are still happening in the midst of everything that's going on. And there was another, with COVID, and it just seems like it just puts a damper on everything. And I know I wanted to talk to you about that last time, but it just slipped my mind. But I'm glad that you're still staying active, and I know that with your Ghost 101 talks,
those are cool.
Though if you you want to share a little bit about those other things that you're doing on your, if you haven't yet, you need to follow Heather if you're really interested in this stuff on Facebook. You talk a lot with other paranormal investigators. You teach people. Because it is a skill. And it's a way of also, if you believe this stuff, showing respect and reverence. So you're not just going in there and, kicking down doors and yelling at, you
don't want to bring spirits back. You don't want to bring them home with you.
Yeah, so just talk a little bit about what you do on those, especially the 101 courses that you do sometimes.
Yeah, late last year, I actually stumbled across a group of great investigators, and we're from all over the country, and we're from all different teams. And what we've done is we've partnered together to do every 2 weeks, we go live with basically a Ghost Education 101 talk where we pick a different topic. Right now we're doing panel discussions where you get to meet the educators that we have. We have about 20 different educators that work with us. But after that, we're going to start continuing with presentations. One presentation that I did last year was non-tech tools in the paranormal field.
Yeah.
Other presentations we've done include how to conduct an investigation. Next week we have a guest on. He's going to be talking about the science of the paranormal, and we're just going to pick different topics. I know we've worked with Mike Ricksecker in the past. He's the author of A Walk in the Shadows. I blanked on his book there for a minute. And he helped educate the different, what shadow people are. And so that's our primary focus, is to make sure we educate other people and help them, so that way I don't want to say they're doing it right, but there's so many teams who follow what is on TV.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
And that's just not
mimicking what they're
seeing.
Yeah. Well, you don't know, you haven't heard of shadow people, Rev?
Like Peter Pan?
Oh, wow. You know what? You got to go sit outside and let the grown-ups talk. Shadow people are interesting.
Oh, that's an interesting topic.
Yeah, because people say when they see them, even at night, like in a dark room or whatever, they say they're still blacker than black. They're darker than the dark. That's racist. You can't say that no more. But can you put in layman's terms for Rev here, because he don't know what shadow people are. She's like, it's in the name. It's shadow people.
Yeah, it's basically, it can be interpreted a couple different ways. Some figures, you have references to the Hat Man, who just appears in a shadow with like a fedora hat on.
Yeah.
Some people believe that they're evil. I know when we had Mike on our presentation, he had talked about different theories about how seeing shadow people could be. One theory is just because you as a person can't see them in a full apparition in full color, so you see them as a shadow person. Other theories are that it's two parallels when they cross, and you're seeing them in the other realm as a shadow. There's a whole bunch of different stories behind it.
Oh, that is interesting.
I would suggest reading his books.
Yeah, we're going to have to do that.
He's actually, I consider him the expert on shadow people, and he's my go-to guy when I have questions about them.
So there's just, I'm an idiot, so let me so there's.
You got to talk slow. No one learned him to spoke.
So, like, with the shadow people, like, what other kind of groups or areas do other people have different expertise in? Because I didn't know about the I thought all ghosts are pretty much all the same, like one general category, but that's not the case, correct?
It all depends on you as a person too, because it's depending on how you generate energy in your own world determines on how you see different paranormal entities. But for the most part, you have ghosts, you have spirits, you have shadow people. Then even though it's very rare, you can delve into the world of non-human entities, demonic entities.
Oh.
But
nice.
Those are like the rare. I've never encountered it, and I actually work with the Warren Legacy Foundation, which is run by Ed and Lorraine Warren's grandson.
Nice.
And I work closely with him, and he goes, it's very rare to run across that, but they are there.
Interesting. Okay.
I should have worn my copper bracelet and get my chakras aligned, because I do believe in that, though. I believe that the energy, in a way, you speak it into existence. You seek and you shall find, as they say. But yeah, the shadow people are interesting. That and the black-eyed kids or whatever they're called. Those are that's interesting to me as well. I was like, don't open the door, But I hear now. I don't know how true this is. This is just from what I hear on TV or whatever. But there's been an increase in sightings of the black-eyed kids. Have you heard anything about that lately?
I haven't heard anything about that, but I'm going to correlate that with the increase in paranormal activity since COVID hit.
Yeah.
Because
right.
we've had an increase in calls from people asking for help with residentials.
Oh, wow.
And it's not so much that the activity has increased. It's
just being noticed.
Home.
Yeah, it's being noticed now.
Yes, yeah. Well,
did my cat always float over there? What's going on? I guess this is your house now, shadow person.
Well, no, and that's another thing too. I came across. There's a political commentator, not a political, but he commentates on a lot of news. Tim Pohl, and he was talking about that actually there's an increase since COVID started of not paranormal activity, but actual what did we say? Was it? What was it? It was a demon possession or?
Oh yeah,
exorcisms.
Yeah,
exorcisms. Oh, there was a higher request for exorcisms.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I guess that could be attributed to, I don't know. I know it's a paranormal aspect because, like you said, a lot now that people are forced to remain in certain areas, it's like when you sit for certain long, you're going to start noticing things that, wait, was that always there?
Yeah, starts playing with it. I call them the gremlins. When something's misplaced, you can't find it. I've done this and it works. I was listening to a podcast years ago by Jim Harold, awesome podcast called the Paranormal Report or something like that, and he had someone on there and they're saying, yeah, you just say that's not yours, put it back. And when I can't find something, I swear to God, I say that. It's not yours. Can you put my, whatever it is I'm looking for, my keys or whatever, and then I'll go do something, come back, and I'll find it.
Really?
Yeah, and it'd be in the places that I previously looked before. I was just looking on there, and I didn't see it, or, and then I come back, and it's there. And I don't know if it's like a placebo thing, or maybe I just didn't notice it, but now I'm more aware of it. But it works. I don't know. It's a trip.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, the gremlins. I call them the gremlins.
Okay, well, I got a two-part question for you, Heather. Number one, I know, have you done extensive traveling in your efforts as an investigator across the country or even the world?
Unfortunately, not yet. Because I've been researching for over 30 years, but it was more or less research, whatever I could get to locally. And then when I decided to go all in, and this is what I was going to do full time, everything shut down.
Yeah, that's same with us too. Right. We're like, you know what? We're gonna, we're gonna invest heavily into doing this, and then, man, we got shut down. Yeah, because we're doing these remotely for a long time, and it's hard.
Yeah, we just say we ain't doing that anymore. But yeah, that's got to be tough. Well, my next question is, I got to know, President's Day is on the way, and I thought it would be an interesting conversation.
We need a soundtrack for this.
What, from your studies, is the history in our country of paranormal activity? Because I've heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but that the Lincoln bedroom is haunted in the White House and stuff like that. So it's like, in your expertise or in your studies,
he never slept there though. Did you know that?
Did he? I don't know.
I don't know. I remember hearing that on that. I remember hearing that on that movie with Nicolas Cage. What's that called?
National Treasure.
Yeah, National Treasure. So it is haunted though, huh?
In honor of President's Day, it's like, what have you heard about either presidential hauntings or White House hauntings or things like that? I thought
you
that
can't
would be
say white now. No.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
The one that I actually recently wrote a blog on it, and I can share you guys that link. But it talks about all the different hauntings associated with Lincoln. And his experience, because he actually had experiences in the White House himself, because Mary Todd was very spiritual. She had psychics in, and a whole bunch of seances were done in the White House, at least what I could find. There were reports of all of that. And then Lincoln actually, I don't know if you guys heard, Lincoln dreamt his own death.
Yeah, I
several
heard that.
times.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his wife told him not to go to the play because of it, right? Didn't she say not to go because he was having a...
Right. He wasn't supposed to go to that, and he was warned, and he ended up going anyway. And then hauntings associated with him, there have been reports of seeing someone who resembles him at his gravesite in Illinois. The State House in Illinois is also reported to have been haunted by him, as well as the White House has several reportings of him haunting, as well as people have claimed to see Mary Todd. And there was one other one that I can't remember off the top of my head. But then the one that intrigues me the most that I want to go investigate is his processional train to take him from Washington, D.C. to Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
On the anniversary of that train going, there are reports of seeing a ghost train travel for 2 miles, leaving Washington, D.C. and then disappearing.
Whoa. Dang. Well, you know, what would you do if you ran into Abraham Lincoln? Someone so prestigious. Like, do you bow? Do you shake his hand?
Their ghost?
Yeah. I mean, like, that to me, I'd be honored. Like, thank you for visiting me, Mr. President. Like, you know, that'd be awesome.
Well, no, that's interesting because I've heard the rumblings. Oh, you know, the Lincoln bedroom and all this and that. But it's just like...
Well, you know what else I would love to go visit, like Gettysburg and all these, you know.
Well, no, you've been to Gettysburg.
Have you?
I love Gettysburg. Yes, I have.
Yes,
nice.
she mentioned that.
That is where I've had...
Go ahead.
where I've had some of my first experiences ever.
Wow, because people say they think it's a reenactment or something, and they're like, no, there was no reenactment scheduled or whatever. And they're like, well, I just seen some soldiers over here or whatever.
So no, we didn't touch on, like I said,
lucky.
last time we talked,
go.
it was more of like an introduction thing. But yeah, when you mentioned the Gettysburg thing, there was just so much information being thrown at us. I didn't know where to stop or start. But yeah, expound a little, you know, in honor of President's Day, because that was, you know, big deal. So expound a little bit about some of the craziest things or the most interesting things that you encountered there at Gettysburg.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, when the first experience I had in Gettysburg, I was at Spangler Spring, and this is where reports of a lady in white appear, and she's they claim that she's mourning her loved one who never returned to her, and they were supposed to meet at Spangler Spring after the battle, and he ended up dying in the battle and never returned. So there's reports of her still coming there, and when I was there, I was not only overcome with sadness during the whole thing, but I just wrote it off as, it's Gettysburg. You're going to feel sad because of everything that happened.
Yeah.
But I went through, this is back when you had film cameras. I went through 2 or 3 batteries that were brand new, that just every time I took a photo, they would die.
Oh, wow.
And my camera just kept malfunctioning. And then it felt like someone just reached out and grabbed my shoulder and pulled me down. Like, kind of, you know, jerked my shoulder back trying to get my attention. And I'm standing out there screaming, do it again, do it again. Because it was, like, so exciting to me. But then on another trip that I took up to Gettysburg, I was at Devil's Den. And this is the place that was reported where Matthew Brady took all the photos. And he actually, there are new reports out saying that he relocated those bodies from the battlefield to Devil's Den to make it look good. And that it was all staged. So you're going to have these disturbed spirits because their bodies were moved. But when I was there, I was just walking around. I was the only one within a decent distance. And I saw someone walk around a rock dressed in full Confederate gear.
No.
And tilted his hat to me and kept walking. And then I went to follow him because I thought it was a reenactor. I wanted to ask him a question. So I'm following him, and he had turned around a rock and nobody was there.
And it was, that is badass. I'm sorry. Excuse my French, but that's badass. And then, see, I don't know. I like this stuff. I love ghosts, but if I were to actually see something like that, I don't know what I would do.
Until
you
it
know?
actually happens to you. Yeah, you don't know exactly how
I want
you're
my mommy.
Yeah, because we mentioned about your brave demeanor
you're awesome.
into all this, and yeah, that's interesting.
Would you follow if you? Well, I mean, I would automatically expect it to be a ghost, so I probably wouldn't have followed it like Heather did. But would you follow something?
Well,
like that?
if I thought it was a person, I probably would. Hey, I was like, talk to you quick. I'm an inquisitive person. I want to know certain things, but but if I'd known that if I could see right through this person, I'm like, I don't think I would follow that.
This kind of reminds me of that TV show me and my wife got into, Outlanders. Have you seen that? Where they travel through time. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I don't know why we got.
You mean Quantum Leap?
No. Quantum dynamic. You're taking it back to the.
Man.
Yeah, because if I saw, I don't know. Do I want to see a ghost now? Yeah, I think I do. But I think if there was a group of us, I wouldn't want to be alone with one. Don't leave me alone with a ghost.
Another question I wanted to ask you is just that because I know locally there's the mystery or the allure of the Winchester Mystery House, the Sarah Winchester, and I've been there numerous times, and you hear all the stories, and you go there. It's an interesting place. I don't know if you've ever been there to the Winchester Mystery House.
I've never been there. It's on my list.
And I've never
been there either. We're not that far away from it.
Yeah, we're not that far. I've never been there. It's like I've been there like 3 or 4 times. It's really interesting, especially when you get the history, and it's kind of funny because it's like this big Victorian style mansion right in the middle of downtown San Jose.
I know, that's crazy, man.
So, but it's you go through there, they tell you the stories, and there's a lot of it. We went, I think on one of our first episodes, we talked about the Winchester Mystery House and some of the things that they were saying, and I don't feel any.
I believe, in my opinion, I think Sarah Winchester was just trying to keep people employed at the time and just trying to keep the economy. You know what I mean? She had the money. What was her daily?
She's 15,000. Will come out to like some $1 million every day or something.
Yeah,
no, it was 2,000. It was $2,000 a day in her pay, in her day. So I don't know what that would make that.
Anyway, she had the money to burn.
Yeah. So in your expertise on your knowledge of that situation, and I'm only saying it because it's so close to us, and I've been there. What do you make of that whole situation? Do you think that the stories about Sarah Winchester, the demons or the ghosts of her son's invention were following her?
But then why? How come Colt and Smith and Wesson and all them aren't haunted? Right?
I'm asking her.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Heather.
I'm just gonna mute myself.
It's one of those, without being in there, I don't know for sure, because 9 times out of 10 when I walk into a haunted location, I can automatically say there's something here.
Right.
But without being there, I don't know. But from the stories I've heard, it's highly possible, and it's especially highly possible because she believed in that stuff from the get-go.
Right.
She had seances there, she had investigators there, and it's almost, if it's not haunted because of the activity that happened prior to the building the location, it could easily have been manifested by her. There's a lot of studies that I'm trying to get onto talking about how, like with EVPs, if someone asks a question and the other person thinks real hard, you can pick up what that other person is thinking on the EVP recorder. So it's the other person, not a ghost. And it's a true, like the Philip experiment that they did in a long time ago, where this group of people got together every day and talked about their ghost friend Philip, and there was no ghost there. But then after several meetings, they almost willed Philip into existence.
Yeah. Oh man.
When you say willed him into existence, are you talking about like a physical, like an actual
like
apparition,
Slender Man,
or is it just a subconscious thing we create in our mind, so it doesn't exist outside of our mind? Or did they literally create a entity called Philip? They literally created an entity.
Oh! Yeah, you speak it into existence,
and that just goes to show how strong the mind is and what we can do with our minds that we don't know we can do it.
That is another element that I don't know what to do with.
You know where there's a cool place here in Modesto? Every time I visit, I love to visit this place. And every time I go in there, I get the vibe. Like, the vibe where everything, the hair's on. Well, I don't have no hair, but, the hair stand up. You get all the emotions going and then I always thought it was haunted. I wasn't sure, and I just Googled it, and it's one of the haunted locations here in Modesto, which is the McHenry Mansion.
Oh yeah.
And I love that place. It's a beautiful home, Victorian style house. It's an old home here in town. And it does give off that vibe, though. And I don't know if it's just because I want to believe it's haunted, but I believed it was even before I found out that it supposedly was. I don't know. It's a cool place to go.
Yeah.
Maybe we could talk with the curator and do an overnight EVP session or something.
I don't know about that, but anyways,
that'd be cool. So I'll go by myself.
So Heather, what is on your to-do list? Like what is if you had the opportunity to go to this location to do your investigation, what is the number one location on that list?
For me, it's 2 different locations, and I don't believe, because I just talked to someone the other day about this, and I don't believe either one of them offer paranormal investigations. But it's the Sydney Opera House. From what I understand,
in Australia,
it's built. Yeah, you got to know it has history because it was built on land that was Aboriginal tribal leaders.
Shoot.
Really?
So, and there's just a lot of history there that you know something's lurking in the shadows.
Yeah, dude.
And then basically, I would say, I just, because I know the main castle that the royal family lives in is not open to investigation, so any castle out in London, I would just love to get into.
Yeah, even London.
But if you can get into, you know, any of the main castles where, you know, the royal family has either stayed or owned or anything like that, would love to get into any of those locations.
Man, that'd be awesome.
Man, that's interesting. Super interesting. Yeah,
and then, you know, just like even in Europe, period, I mean, you know, their history is a lot older than ours, so their streets are going to have a lot, you know, more to it as far as historical, you know.
Well, and I think that's another one of my questions. It's just like, has anybody experienced like paranormal apparitions or something like that relating to individuals that lived before the Middle Ages? Like, you know what I mean? Like
right.
What? Like, is there a limit? Like, do people experience things from ancient Rome, or, you know, like how far back? Like, in your experience, I mean, I'm not trying to be critical or cynical. I'm just curious about that because I've never really remember people talking about ghosts.
Well, I seen that pirate. Remember?
You seen a pirate?
Yeah, remember we were talking about it. Remember?
Oh yeah, well you mentioned it before. Yeah, well, okay.
I seen a pirate, and there's no water near us. I was getting ready for work. It's about 3:34 in the morning, and I come to the light, and I see a guy on the street corner. Maybe it was just a tweaker. I don't know. But he looked like how you picture a pirate, you know, like on Pirates of the Caribbean, you know. And I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing out here, you know? And he's just standing there, just, you know, looking like, you know, how Peter Pan used to do his thing, you know?
Like Captain Morgan?
Yeah, I was like, what? So I turned the corner, I look at my rear view, and he's gone. So I seen a pirate. Oh, that's my story.
Right.
I'm sticking
to it. All right.
Yeah.
But Heather, in some of the things you've experienced, is like, have you ever said, oh yeah, I've seen this person dressed like they're in ancient Greece, or is it just like,
no one sees Jesus? You'd think if anybody has the power to haunt people, right? Wouldn't he be the ultimate? Like,
it's the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
So anyways,
there's actually interesting theories associated with that, which is, I mean, there's so many things I want to dive into and research, but it's like you got to prioritize.
Yeah.
But one of the theories is that paranormal activity, because we don't see, you know, gladiators or ancient Rome or anything like that, is that paranormal activity tends to fade away over the years. So it's more or less trying to figure out how long paranormal activity can stick around.
Right.
Well, and the ancient Egyptians had this mentality of the afterlife, that as long as you're remembered, you're survived in the afterlife. As soon as you're forgotten, that's why
that's when you truly die.
When there were pharaohs that people didn't like after they died, they would destroy the record of them, not because they were trying to erase them, that they never existed, but they didn't want anybody to remember them, because if nobody remembered them on Earth, then they wouldn't survive in the afterlife.
Right.
So I wonder if holds some weight. Then, you know, it's just like the reason why there's no paranormal things happening, you know, from ancient Egypt, is because, well, we don't regard that as, you know, I don't know, like.
Well, just think 20, 30 years from now, hauntings are going to be way different. They're going to be like, hey, waking you up. Hey, can I get your Wi-Fi password? You know? Like, what the heck? You know, like, you know, because, you know, we get hauntings from people from the, you know.
What's your Netflix password?
Yeah. Hey, do you got HBO Max, do you know? Like, no, I'm not paying for that.
Oh,
no.
That's funny.
You know, because we get hauntings now, and like to them, like a light switch. That's why they were playing with lights and running water, because, you know, they never had that.
I was like, oh, what is this?
Yeah, you know, right? But 20, 30 years from now, when people are, you know, they'd be like, what the heck? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, you're on tangent.
I was fishing for something. Nothing came to me. I was hoping something paranormally would have happened. That's why I coined my phrase there, paranormally. But yeah, I mean, because that would be interesting, though, if you think about it. From 50 years from now, even, you know, like, what are the hauntings going to be like? You know?
Yeah, that's interesting. And I know that our time with you is short, so I wanted to ask you one last question before we say our adieus. So what in the midst of, we got COVID situation going on, it really puts a limit and a damper on a lot of things that not just, with paranormal. I mean, you look at even sports, it seems like sporting events aren't the same.
Yeah.
A lot of the social structures that we've created in our society are just almost shattered and gone. But what do you see, in light of COVID, in the midst of all that? Because we don't know. I mean, we got a vaccine, but we don't know where that's going to go. So where do you see your group going? What are your plans for the near future and then the long term? Like, what's the small picture and the big picture for your group, for yourself, and everything else you're doing online and everywhere else?
Okay, well, the small picture is we're actually in the process of making a list of all the locations, because what's nice is the locations that are on our list are ghost towns. So you can go there, and chances of running into someone are slim to nothing.
They're not going
to you might run into another investigator, but you're in an entire cemetery. They're on one side, you're on the other side.
Yeah. Nice.
But big picture is we're in the process of relocating back to Florida in the next year or two once COVID passes. And when I get back to Florida, my ultimate goal as our team is to partner with a couple other teams that I already know down there from living down there in the past, and start offering, regular tours, lecture series.
Nice.
I'm in the process with iMystic University. I just haven't had a chance to record them yet. We're going to offer online classes that you can download and take on your own pace, including a monthly class that it's only $25 a month, but it's for 13 months. You pay as you go.
Oh, nice.
And that, my biggest goal is educating people, and that's why I want to try doing the tours and the talks and all of that.
Well, that's awesome, because me and Rev were talking about wanting to get involved in something like that, and getting some education behind us, so that way when we go out and look for stuff like that, because our goal is to also get out and do some traveling. Like, we want to hit up into the Sierras and look for Bigfoot and do a show out there, like in the wild, and just various different subjects, and just try to get out. But it'd be good to have something that we can fall back on as far as some kind of education.
Give it the respect and dignity.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And hopefully, man, knowing that you're not going to be in Vegas for too much longer.
Yeah, we got to get out there.
Now we got to get out there as soon as possible before we have to fly all the way to Florida just to see you.
But from my point of view, people in Florida are more open to paranormal activity.
Really?
And there are so many more locations to investigate down there. You have Key West.
Yeah.
Alone is very open to it. St. Augustine.
You might see some pirates out there. I swear, I seen a pirate. And still to this day, no one believes me. Like, there's no
triangle.
There's no body of water or nothing around here.
Well, that just opens up a whole lot more conversation that we could definitely touch up on the next time. So, but definitely, we need to get down there and see you in Vegas before that. And I want to put that in the back of my mind, that I wanted to talk about the difference in different areas of the country and their acceptance of paranormal activity.
I never thought of it. Yeah.
But anyways, wow. Heather, thank you very much. Where could people find you again at?
You can find me on Facebook. It's at Dr. Heather Leigh, and Leigh is spelled Leigh. Or you can follow us on Ghost Education 101 or Exploration Paranormal.
Exploration Paranormal. Check her out.
Well, I'm a fan. I tell you, I'm a
Vegas
fan.
Area,
yeah, for sure. Right on.
Get in, hold, follow, do all those good things. Well, Heather, thank you once again for joining us. It was a good show, and we got to do this again.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right, Heather, thank you very much. This has been your boy, Sir Rev the Servant and Play B. This has been the TAP, and you have been tabbed.